pleasure right now to welcome to our show today great jazz musician and singer who is the latest CD is called Deep Purple Dreams, making a lot of noise up in the New York jazz scene. We're joined now by Julian Yeo by telephone today. You are making a lot of noise, Julian.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Doug. That's how we like it, making lots of noise here in New York.
Sometimes you have to raise your voice in New York to get heard, but you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you, thank you. It doesn't hurt when I take on the persona as a vampire in the latest CD.
I like the picture on that. That is kind of a unique photo on a jazz album. Well, what gave you the idea for that?
So it's a theme album. It's through a radio interview that I did some time ago. The interviewer sort of asked the question, if I were in a movie, what character would I play? And somehow these answers just came to me so instinctively that I would play the role of a vampire who lived through all these years singing in jazz clubs. So my musical director and I sat down together and put together a song list of songs that would be appropriate, and we recorded Deep Purple Dreams, and we thought, okay, you need to get that True Blood vibe on the cover of the photo of the CD, and here we go, a black and white sort of purple hinted photograph of me.
Well, it's a great photo, and it'll definitely catch some attention, hopefully, in the music stores, right, or online. So that's great.
Online and music stores, yeah, hopefully.
Well, let's just do a little background of you for the folks who may not be aware. You grew up in Australia, but you developed a great love for particularly American jazz artists. Like I guess Ella Fitzgerald was one of your favorites. How did you do that back in Australia? Did they play those records down there?
Oh yeah, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald. Like you hear that in the background all the time. So that was great growing up, having that in the background. And I have a baritone voice. So as I was going through high school, and I got to sing along with Billy and Ella. So that's how I developed my love for the Great American Songbook.
And it's Bing Crosby. He was also a favorite, wasn't he, of yours?
Oh, absolutely. That laid-back attitude, and he's sort of pioneered the use of microphone. So that's definitely an idol of mine.
Yeah, you can hear some of the influence in this particular CD of Bing Crosby, and the love of a Great American Songbook. I mean, there's so many songs to choose, Julian. I'm sure you know well. It's got to be tough sometimes to pick your favorites, right? To do in a show or a CD.
It is definitely tough, but, we thought about this sort of like if you were entering a club owned by a vampire, what sort of songs would you hear when you enter the club, and what are the songs that reflect certain time era and the story behind it. So we decided to set the stories in 1920 Shanghai, and that's when I was bitten. It came rather organically for this CD.
How did you develop your singing style? And for those folks, we're going to play some cuts on the show today. It's a unique style of singing that you have. Did you try and emulate anyone in particular, or kind of a composite?
I'm glad that you say it's unique, and because over the years I was trained as a classical pianist, so I know music and so I understand pitch, and I always love the rhythm. And through the years of listening to Ella and Bing and all the singers of the Great American Songbook, over the years I tried going to a few vocal teachers, but they really don't know what to do with me. I'm glad that, I didn't budge and sort of said, I'm just going to develop my own unique style.
Well, it's almost an understated style, like Fred Astaire used to do on some of his recordings. I don't know if you ever heard him sing. Very simple, but right on the melody, and nothing fancy, but it made it even better, I think, by doing it that way.
If the material is good, we don't need to embellish it too much.
I think that's the whole key to it. The songs are great as they are, and putting your own voice on it makes it yours. But you don't have to over embellish it. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Great way to go about it. Yeah.
And talking about understated, it reminds me of another idol of mine, Peggy Lee. That understated cool it's always very hip to me.
She did more with less than anybody I think ever that sang, right? I mean, she just had it, didn't she?
Absolutely.
Great style she had. Well, this CD is called Deep Purple Dreams, and just again, your background, I believe, reading the bio, you're an accounting professor too, aren't you, at Columbia? If you don't mind talking about that.
No, I'm more than happy to talk about it. Yes, I'm an accounting professor at Columbia. I moved to New York because of the professor position. The great thing about being in New York is that there's so many opportunities to sing for people who love to sing. I started going to open mics and piano bars, and that's how I sort of got approached by a club manager saying that if I were to put together a show, he would book me. That's how I got started.
How is the jazz scene up in New York? I know jazz is kind of that format. You sort of have to look for it sometimes, but how's it going right now?
It's still happening, and there are a lot of musicians here. The great thing about being in New York is that there's such a great supply of musicians. There's never a shortage, so I get to play with so many musicians, including all the up-and-coming musicians, which is great.
Planning any touring outside of New York in the coming months?
I hope to tour in the near future, but because of my work commitment at the moment, it's very difficult for me to perform outside of New York. But hopefully, perhaps in the Bay Area out in California over the next few months.
Yeah, that's a great area for jazz as well. And if you can fit it into your schedule, Julian, Sarasota, great jazz area, Tampa Bay area, so I'm sure they'd love to have you come down here.
Absolutely. It's one of the destinations that I would like to make it.
Yeah, well,
next year or so.
We'll get you some contact information on the jazz club down here, and I'm sure they'd love to book you in one of their member concerts next season, so that would be great.
Oh, fantastic. That would be great, Doug.
Yeah, but you got another CD in the works. I know this one just came out, but are you planning future CDs?
Deep Purple Dreams came out in January. We recorded Deep Purple Dreams. We recorded 2 CDs at that time. Apart from Deep Purple Dreams, there's also another CD called Homage, which I pay tributes to all the singers that I didn't get to pay tributes to in my previous CDs. So that is out at the moment, but I'm back in the studio at the moment as well.
Great. Well, we'll listen to Deep Purple Dreams in the meantime, but when the next one comes out, Julian, love to have you back on at that point and have become kind of a semi-regular with us down here, but it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. Do you have a website you want to give out, Julian? People want to get more information about you?
Oh, yeah. My website is www.julianyeo.com, and Yeo is Y-E-O.
And I believe you're on Facebook as well, so they can look you up there on Facebook.
Absolutely. There's a fan page on Facebook. Oh, I don't think they call it a fan page anymore because we get to like or dislike. It's a new function that they talk about recently. Yes, I'm on Facebook, and yes, do check out my website for upcoming performances if you happen to be in the New York area.
Great. Well, we have a lot of ex-New Yorkers down here, so I'm sure they'll do that. And Julian Yeo has been our guest. Julian, we look forward to talking to you again. Thanks for being with us today.
Once again, thank you for having me.